Welcome to TasTAFE's online apprenticeship night. My name is Olivia Hicks and I'll be your MC for tonight. Whether you are looking for an apprenticeship yourself or are a parent or carer of someone who is, this session will provide you with plenty of information about apprenticeships. Tonight we hope to cover everything you need to know about apprenticeships, including why apprenticeships are a great career option, how to get one, what employers are looking for, what you can expect during an apprenticeship, how the apprenticeship system works, and much more. We have a panel of experts for you who will help us find out more about apprenticeships. We have 2 apprentices, an employer and a TasTAFE teacher who will each provide us with their personal insights and information about apprenticeships. You'll also have the opportunity to ask questions of our panel along the way. If you have a question, simply type it in the comments section and we'll get to as many of them as we can. And we'd love to hear where you're watching from. Let us know in the comments. Thank you to those people who suggested a question when they registered for tonight. We'll get to some of those shortly and try and answer them as we go. If we don't get to your question tonight, the TasTAFE team will be compiling a list of frequently asked questions and responses, which they will post on their website in the days following the event, and they will put a link on this Facebook page. For people watching who are looking for an apprenticeship right now, make sure you keep watching, because at the end of this session we'll provide you with a link to an online apprenticeship jobs board. Employers who work with TasTAFE across a range of industries have listed apprenticeship opportunities they have on offer right now, and you'll be able to access the details at the end of this session. Thanks to all the employers who have taken the time to share these opportunities. It's a great time to be an apprentice in Tasmania. In recent years, there's been really strong demand for apprentice training in a variety of areas, particularly traditional trades. Despite the challenges of COVID-19, there are more than 9,100 apprentices currently in training in Tasmania, which is an increase of 2.9% on 2019 figures. Tasmania also has some of the highest apprentice completion rates in the country. Apprenticeships are a great career option, particularly if you're a hands-on person who likes to get in there and give things a go. One of the greatest things about apprenticeships is that they provide an opportunity to earn while you learn. You also gain a nationally recognised qualification, which means that once you have completed your apprenticeship, you can work anywhere in Australia. Many apprentices also go on to start their own businesses. So there are some really great reasons to consider an apprenticeship. So how do apprenticeships actually work? We'll hear more about this as the night progresses, but there are a few important things to know about apprenticeships. If you want to be an apprentice, you first need to contact an Australian Apprenticeship Support Network provider. They will help you find an employer and registered training organisation to complete your training, provide a training contract for you and your employer to sign, provide advice and support to you during your apprenticeship. There's a link on the screen now that will provide you with some more general information about Australian apprenticeships and provide links to Australian Apprenticeship Support Network providers. Or you may find an apprenticeship by applying for an apprenticeship directly with an employer who has advertised a position. If this is the case, you and your employer will work with the apprenticeship network provider to sign a training contract. Employers out there looking to put on an apprentice should also contact an Australian Apprentice Support Network provider. So, to put it simply, to be an apprentice, you'll need an employer. It's not until you're employed that a registered training provider like TasTAFE comes into the equation. TasTAFE will work with you and your employer to provide you with the right training, making sure that training is meeting the needs of the particular industry you are working in. So an apprenticeship is a 3-way partnership between the apprentice, their employer, and the training provider. And another reminder that at the end of tonight's session, we'll be providing you with the link to a web page where you can find apprenticeship employment opportunities currently on offer in Tasmania on an online apprenticeship jobs board. Now, let's find out a little more about TasTAFE. TasTAFE is the state's largest training provider and was last week named 2020 Large Training Provider of the Year at the Tasmanian Training Awards. It has a network of campuses and training facilities statewide and offers more than 200 qualifications from Certificate 1 to advanced diploma level, as well as short courses and pre-vocational programs. TasTAFE trains more apprentices than any other registered training organisation in the state. It trains more than 4,000 apprentices each year across many different industries, including construction and allied trades, electrical, automotive, hairdressing, tourism and hospitality, metals, plumbing and agriculture. TasTAFE is proud to train award-winning apprentices, including Apprentice of the Year at the Tasmanian Training Awards, Caitlin Radford. All 7 of the finalists in this award category were trained by TasTAFE across 6 different industries. The Tasmanian team that won the Everett Shield for the best performing region at the Work Skills Australian National Championships were also made up almost entirely of TasTAFE trained apprentices. TasTAFE's apprentice training takes place in workshops designed to, as much as possible, stimulate a real work environment. Later tonight, we'll provide you with a link to where you can take virtual tours to get a closer look at some of these workshops. The success of TasTAFE's training is in large part due to its team of dedicated teachers who come from industry backgrounds. One of them is glazing teacher Rod Wallace, who is joining us tonight. Rod is representing the hundreds of TasTAFE teachers who are helping train the next generation of apprentices. I'd like to welcome TasTAFE glazing teacher and acting allied trades education manager Rod Wallace to answer some of the questions that some of you have sent in when you registered for tonight's event. Hi, Rod.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Firstly, tell us how long apprenticeships run for?
Normally between 3 to 4 years, depending on the qualification itself, as to how long the apprenticeship will actually run for. So.
And are you guaranteed a job at the end of it?
Not necessarily guaranteed a job at the end of it. However, the uptake for keeping on a tradesperson once they finish, or an apprentice once they finish their qualification, is quite high. As you'd expect, the business puts in 4 years training into an apprentice. An apprentice is dedicated for 4 years, so therefore you don't want to throw that away. So, yeah, without a doubt, they do tend to make, I think, around probably the 70% mark would stay in with their actual employer.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And what is the pathway to an apprenticeship, and how do you get one?
Okay, it can vary quite a bit. It can be school-based apprenticeship, where like grade 10, 11 and 12, you can actually participate in a school-based apprenticeship, or it could be direct with an employer, like we touched on a little bit earlier about, because you need to be employed by a business to be an apprentice to start with. There's also network providers you can talk to in regards to gaining them. So it's either you challenge yourself to get yourself out there, or you could be through an advertisement and things like that. So there are quite a number of pathways. You can also do Certificate 2 pathways, which is pre-employment qualifications, which gets you basically job ready for someone to put you on. When it comes to electro trades and some of the more specialised fields with the trades, and they would prefer that the apprentices actually have a Certificate 2 prior to doing that. Plumbing is very similar.
Right. Are there particular skills that are needed for these type of jobs? Like, what do you look for?
An employer would really look for good communication skills, someone who's interested in the actual trade itself, not just someone who, just put their hand up, I want to be a plumber, to show some genuine interest in the trade. It's a 4-year commitment you're making as an apprentice, and also for the business to take you on. So good communication skills would be one, being punctual, being interested in the job, and just having that bit of dedication and being able to listen. Part of the communication doesn't necessarily mean that you're a fantastic communicator, but as long as you can listen to instructions, you can take instructions on, and you can listen to what you've been told.
Now, how much would I get paid if I was to be an apprentice?
It varies. It's hard to actually say that, because depending on what apprenticeship you take on would depend on what award you're under. So therefore that determines what you're being paid. But traditionally it's basically staggered. So as an apprentice each year you start off probably around the 45% of what a tradesman would be paid, and then it increases from there to when you're a 4th year it's about 85%, and then you go into a tradesman's wage after that. But again, it's industry specific to what you're trying to, what you're going to get remunerated basically.
Yeah, I see. And is it hard to find an apprenticeship position in the state?
Currently, not as hard as what it used to be, because it's so buoyant down here at the moment. No, it's not. It's really just showing some initiative, being interested, and being genuine about it. I think that you'll go a long way to being able to obtain an apprenticeship.
Yes. Yep.
So there's a few ways that you can do that as well. You can approach people directly, and some of the scenarios that people can actually do are more so for trying to get yourself job ready. So yeah, the main thing is for an apprentice to be interested in that trade, not just pick something just because it's available.
Of course. And if I was an employer and I have a business, what do I need to do to actually get an apprentice on board?
Well, you'd be talking. You can advertise directly out in the paper or online. You can talk to skill providers, to us to see if there's two apprentices or specific to trainees that have come through that may be job ready to go. So you can directly advertise for that as well. Otherwise, it can be through schools as well to see if there's any students coming through that you'd like to sign up for an apprentice.
Yep, fantastic.
And also through the apprenticeship providers.
Yeah, right. And how many apprenticeships would you say are maybe generated each year?
TasTAFE train 4,000 apprentices a year, as you've just alluded to, so there's quite a lot. I look after allied trades and we currently have 500, so it's average of 125 per year that we're training just in the allied trade space. Construction South in Tasmania have about 437, so yeah, it's quite a lot. So depending on what industry you want to get involved in would be depending on what the uptake would be for the apprenticeship.
And has demand grown over the years?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is definitely grown without a doubt. Construction has definitely boomed down here over the last few years, but on a whole, I think you touched on it, it's about 2.6% or increase per year from last year. So yeah, definitely on the rise.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Rod. That's very valuable information, and we'll hear more from Rod later. And thanks to everyone who's sent in questions. Now we have a short video profile on one of our guests for tonight, apprentice chef Stephanie Lawler.
My name's Stephanie Lawler and I'm the third year apprentice at Driftwood Restaurant, Lauderdale. I've worked in hospitality all of my working life, so thought I'd like to go into a different industry or train somewhere else. I didn't really want to stay in hospitality. I'd never thought being a chef was something that I would be good at. I didn't find this job, this job found me. I was kind of stuck between what I wanted to do with my career, and I never really had the idea of being a chef in the right place at the right time, and come across this job at Driftwood, and I would never go back.
I'm Stephen Hickman and I'm the restaurateur, owner, chef here at Driftwood Restaurant. I'm born and raised in Hobart. We're a modern Australian restaurant, so it's a casual fine dining atmosphere. We like to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on with current food trends and try to present that on the plate so that it looks modern, and we probably serve close to 1,000 guests a week.
So a typical day when we come in would be to make bread, which we're pretty lucky to be able to do here. And then we'll just run through our jobs on the prep list, check through all of our sections, especially where we're working for the day, and get ready for a really busy lunch service, which is what's been happening. It's, very high energy environment to work in. We work really well together. We're a pretty tight team. I can't really explain it. It's kind of like adrenaline. You're in and, new things are coming in, especially if it's really busy. One person will be on the pass, and if you're on your own section, that's where you stay. There's a lot of, yes, chef, 5 minutes chef, 2 minutes chef. For my career, I think I really would like to travel, like to learn more about different cuisines, especially here in Australia and overseas.
Look, chefing's a world ticket. It's so easy to get on a plane, but you can rock up, knock on somebody's door, and you can have a job that afternoon anywhere in the world. So going to the other side of the world and back is my experience, and I've been through Canada and the UK and Germany, and picked up work travelling around in all of those sort of pictures, and we draw inspiration from that as well. It helps our business with what we put on a plate, and it broadens everything that we do.
From working here and working with the people that I do, they've really inspired me to go and see what the rest of the world has to offer. I'd still like to stay in Australia and see what's going on the other side, on the mainland, and see what's happening over there, but definitely continue learning. I think I'd like to pursue my career in different areas of cookery, so maybe pastry or butchery or other things like that, because I really do believe that we have to keep learning, and here we learn every single day, we learn something new, so I'd like to continue that throughout my life, and especially in this industry. If you're thinking about becoming an apprentice chef, do it. If you think that you have what it takes to do that, you're definitely going to come across some hurdles. It is the hardest but most fulfilling job that I've ever had. I would say take that leap of faith and go straight for it.
Welcome, Stephanie, and thanks for being here tonight. Tell us where you went to school and why did you think about starting a career in being a chef?
I went to Surrey Primary and High School. I never really wanted to be a chef until I was out of schooling. I was kind of stuck at a career crossroads and just really wanted to figure out where I wanted to go and what I would be passionate about. It was probably the fact that I grew up watching a lot of cooking shows and wanting to have my own cooking show that really made me want to become a chef, and I'm really glad that I took that leap of faith and become a chef, because it's something that I would recommend to anyone.
Tell us about the training you're doing at TasTAFE Drysdale, and how does it prepare you for the work you're doing as well?
At Drysdale it's really good because we get to be hands-on with things that we probably don't do at work. It's almost like you're getting that little bit of training before you're going back to work the next day or within the next few days. It's really good to meet other apprentices as well, I find. You make a lot of really good lifelong friends and find a lot of people that have the same passions as you, and it's really nice to meet people that enjoy what you're doing as well and help build you up in your career. And I think Drysdale is a great place for learning, especially hands-on learning, that we don't always get to do at work. I know I'm very lucky in my workplace that we get to do quite a lot, so Drysdale's definitely helped me along the way.
And what are the teachers like?
The teachers at Drysdale are really, really helpful. I find that you're really treated like an adult at Drysdale. The teachers are there to help guide you and help you focus on what you're doing, but they're also letting you go and going with your own creativity and things like that, which I always find always helps me. The teachers are definitely a great support network. I know I've formed a few relationships with a lot of the teachers, and they just make going to school and going into a school environment much easier as an adult.
You were saying earlier about the person you work with is your inspiration.
Yeah,
talk us through that.
My head chef Steve, he's definitely my inspiration. He's formed me into the chef that I'm becoming, and I think if I could just be half of the chef that he is, then I'd be quite good at my job. He definitely has helped me along the way and helped me find what I really love to do. And like I said, if I could be half the chef that he is, I reckon I've made it in my career.
Oh, fantastic. And I guess if there was a number one tip to give people out there watching tonight, what would it be about apprenticeships?
I think if you want to become a chef, then definitely go for it. It's the hardest job I've ever had, and it is definitely the most fulfilling. It is a golden ticket to the rest of the world, and you can just go wherever you want to go. It's also something that you learn new things every single day. I don't go to work I'd never go to work and not learn anything, whether that has to do with cooking or whether it does to do with myself. The people that I work with, Steve and Hamish, they would be they'd be very happy that I mentioned them, but they teach me a lot and they know a lot themselves. So it's great that we have people in the industry that want to pass that on. So I think if you want to be an apprentice chef and you want to continue with that path, you have to be someone that's very passionate, but get ready for the long haul because it's the most amazing ride that you ever be on.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Stephanie. Now for another video about our next guest apprentice, Chandler Robson.
My name's Chandler Robinson. I'm a third-year carpentry apprentice working for Overland Builders. So I started out sort of after school working for family in the family business in caravan parks. Enjoyed my time there working on the tools, so decided I wanted to sort of pursue an apprenticeship, and so sort of reached out and made the move down to Hobart, and eventually picked up work with Overland, and sort of been here for about nearly 2 years now.
My name's Tom Scott. I'm part owner and director of Overland Builders. Chandler's been with our business for 2 years now. He's slotted in perfectly. He's got a really good eye for detail, and he's got a high standard, which we always look for.
Get on site sort of prior to 7:30, so sort of 10 past 7, and sort of knocked off by 4 o'clock normally. So typical day, could be doing anything. We do a lot of renos and extensions and also new builds as well. So could be doing anything from sort of framing to sort of putting flooring down or framing up a roof, whatever it might be. So every day's different. I'm pretty lucky. I don't have to spend too much time on the shovel, but it's sort of, if you spend days on a shovel a few days on a shovel at a time, it sort of gets pretty tedious. So I'd like to work for myself ultimately, but I'd also like to spend a bit of time travelling and sort of subcontracting while working on the road. So just working for other builders or getting to see a bit of Australia. Get my work van and get my caravan on, and myself and the partner just go around and spend a bit of time on the road. I enjoy carpentry and sort of look forward to my future in carpentry because I can take my skills around Australia and they'll hold me in good stead.
Welcome, Chandler, and thanks for being here tonight. Talk us through, how do you find combining work with going to TasTAFE?
I find it's beneficial going to TAFE. In particular, I mean, you're getting exposure to the teachers who have got a lifetime worth of experience, and to be able to sort of learn under them and get exposed to some of their experience and that it sort of goes a long way. You can sort of avoid quite a few pitfalls if you sort of just listen to your teachers and to the tradesmen that you're working with, and yeah.
Yeah, what sort of things do you do at TasTAFE, and how can you apply them on the job?
So at TAFE, you spend quite a bit of time doing theory. There is a lot of prac involved as well. So if on site you aren't getting experience in a certain area that you're required to, then you sort of infill those gaps at TAFE. And then just with all the theory, just being able to actually sit down and work out why you do things the way that you do them, and you can sort of then head to the job site and sort of you've got that theory behind you and that understanding behind you, so you can better understand what you're doing.
What's the most challenging aspects of your role, would you say?
Carpentry, sort of, there's a lot that falls under carpentry, so particularly at the start can be quite overwhelming. So yeah, that's quite challenging in that sense, but I'd also say it's one of the best aspects of it too, because you're constantly learning. You've got to be always problem solving. There's always a new way to do things. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And what do you like most about it?
Yeah, well, exactly that. So you're always challenged, constantly challenged. So you're forever growing, and there's always a sense of fulfilment at the end of each day.
And you definitely recommend it to anyone out there?
I would, if you're keen on a trade, carpentry.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chandler. To be an apprentice, you first need to find an employer. So what are employers looking for when employing an apprentice, and what's the best way to go about contacting an employer? I'd now like to welcome employer Anthony Balick to share his insights. Anthony is manager, estimator and part owner of 20th Century Plumbing, a Hobart business that has been providing gas and plumbing services to the local community since 1968. He started with the business 25 years ago as an apprentice himself and now supports the company's apprentices with their training. Anthony is also president of the Master Plumbers Association of Tasmania, the peak industry body that governs the industry and represents around 150 small to large plumbing businesses in Tasmania. Thank you so much for your time. So tell us, what makes a resume stand out?
Getting to the point very quickly, on the very first page, tell us about yourself, your training, history, any educational milestones that you have, your interests, and whether you've selected a career path, what you think you can offer, what skill sets can you bring to your employer.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone to help them prepare for a job interview?
Know the employer, research the industry, have some questions for them as well, shows that you're keen and you've done your own research. And have a little bit of knowledge about the industry that you're potentially going to be working in.
And what kind of expectations do you have for the apprentices?
That they're punctual, present well, they're on time to their appointment. The expectation is that they sign onto an employment contract with the training provider and that they fulfil that and inevitably end up with an apprenticeship completion and a prospective tradesperson at the end of it.
Do you look at things like a person's social media page, for example?
I never used to, but given I like people to research me before they have a discussion, I do the same. So yeah, we do look at people's social media pages to see what kind of people they potentially are, but it's not crucial to their employment, obviously.
And apprenticeships open up career opportunities. How did you get where you are now?
So a fairly unique situation. I was a high school-based apprenticeship-based program. So in high school, grade 10, I got the opportunity to do a work placement, and pretty much the rest is history. 25 years with the same employer. Worked my way up through the business to the point now that I'm part business owner. So if you make the right choices, have a selected career path, the possibilities are endless, and there is career progression beyond being a tradesperson. There's a multitude of things you can do outside of your apprenticeship and qualification.
And have you found that there is, I guess, more demand since you've progressed?
Yeah, the demands on a business and the skill sets within running a business are quite high, and the industry being so buoyant at the moment, there's a definite shortage of trained, skilled people, tradespeople and apprentices to complement them as well. So,
are you expecting a bit of a jump, I suppose, since COVID began?
Yeah, my feeling is there'll be a lot of construction around. We need to get out of the deficit that potentially we're in. So, and to do that, the best way is invest in the construction industry. To do that, you need people to work in it, and we need to train people so we can effectively complete that work. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a very big construction period moving forward.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Anthony. And thanks to Steph and Chandler for being on our panel tonight. We've had a number of questions online about mature age apprenticeships. Here's a video about Marek Porter, who was a wood machinist and joiner, and at the age of 35 decided to follow a passion for the industrial electrical industry and enrolled in a Certificate 3 in Electrotechnology at TasTAFE.
My name's Marek Porter. Just recently, last year, completed a Cert 3 in Electrotechnology through TasTAFE in Burnie. Currently working for RBD Electrical, and today we're here at the Wilmot Power Station on a Hydro Tasmania asset. Just straight out of school, I was 15 when I first started my apprenticeship, and then I've done some other bar courses through Drysdale and other short courses through my first trade, being joinery and wood machining. I thought I needed some new challenges, a new direction. I had a young family and had a lifelong sort of interest in electrical and the industrial worlds. Before I started this apprenticeship, I went on a few Hydro Tasmania public tours and had an interest in this type of work, and through conducting this apprenticeship, I've been able to work on these sites, which has been fantastic. During my apprenticeship, I've been fortunate enough to work all over the state, working for mines down the west coast to southern Tasmania to the highlands, and also northwest on places like Cement Australia and Simplots. Completing apprenticeship at TasTAFE Burnie has been fantastic for me and well suited, as I really enjoy the theory mix with on-the-job training. Last year I won the Tasmanian Apprentice of the Year at the Tasmanian Training Awards through a nomination from my TasTAFE teacher. Also last year I won the NICA Awards for Excellence Industrial Electrical Apprentice of the Year, and which I went on to nationally to represent and took out that as well. At the moment it's an exciting time to be working in Tasmania. There's a lot of industrial projects, and particularly Hydro Tasmania, modernising a lot of their assets, and us as subcontractors have got a very unique opportunity to be a part of that. The exciting thing about the electrotech industry is there's so much room to retrain and diversify in the communications industry as well, which is part of electrotechnology. Yeah, I'd say don't hesitate, it's never too late. I made this decision in my late 30s, I'm 41 now, and TasTAFE have been highly supportive, and the transition was very easy. Certainly in the future we'll use TasTAFE to expand my credentials and better myself.
Thanks for joining us again, Rod. Can you tell us a little bit about mature age apprenticeships?
Yeah, for sure. Well, Mature age apprenticeships basically are open to anybody. Any adult that wants to get into an apprenticeship just basically needs to have an employer just be job ready, I suppose, ready to go. So.
Yeah. Can you give any advice for mature age people trying to get an apprenticeship?
Yeah, absolutely. To do some research, make sure that that's definitely the career path you want to take, because it is a big commitment. Some people take a pay decrease to transfer to go to a different type of field, but that's that'll come back eventually. I think that just to research it, be keen, and just make sure that you've got some fundamental ideas about the trade or the specific qualification you want to chase.
Yeah. Are there any age restrictions or any experience level upon entry for an apprenticeship?
No, there's not for adult apprentices. As long as you're fit and able to work and you can fulfil your duties as an employee, then you can become an adult apprentice.
And I guess this leads into the next question. Are there apprenticeship programs available for those over 50?
Yes, it's open to anybody basically. As long as you're fit and able to work, then there's no age restrictions for that. And quite frankly, some of the mature age apprentices can bring an awful amount into a business. So they're quite sought after at times.
What kind of reasons do they give for wanting to complete an apprenticeship at that time of life?
Yeah, it can be just simply as the fact that they don't actually hold a trade certificate, want to upskill themselves, or just want a change of career and lifestyle change. Yeah.
And what advice would you give them?
To research to start with, make sure that's definitely the type of career that you want to get into, or the type of qualification you want to seek, because there's a big commitment, no doubt about that, from yourself and the employer, and do some research on that, and also have an up-to-date resume, and just be genuine about it, basically.
Yeah. What are the chances of someone in their mid-30s gaining an apprenticeship and, for example, TAFE training done in the early 2000s still be applicable?
Yeah, the qualifications are updated every 5 to 6 years type thing on average. So therefore, the units of competency that they would have obtained back then in 2000 may not be current now. So there may be gaps between the old unit of currency and the one that is now, or unit of competency, I should say. So therefore, it may be a case that you take recognition of prior learning. So the practical task may not have changed, but the theoretical component might have increased. So therefore, they come to TAFE and we'd fill in the gaps basically, so that they can be more on the current units.
And I guess TasTAFE is keen to have the most up-to-date information for everyone out there.
Absolutely, yes, yes we are. Like we had a glazing and floor covering in the allied trades, which I look after last year. Next year, construction as a whole has an upgrade, and some of the other 4 allied trades do as well. So it's consistently keeping up to date with qualifications.
Fantastic. As a school-based apprenticeship, Bronte Richardson was able to combine work at Direct Edge Manufacturing with a Certificate 3 in Engineering at Technical at TasTAFE and study at Hellier College. Here is some of her story.
My name is Bronte Richardson. I'm doing Engineering Technical Cert 3 and I'm going to become an engineer. I'm School-Based Apprentice of the Year for Tasmania for 2018 and also the runner-up for Australia, and then the Young Achiever of the Year for the Defence Force for Tasmania and runner-up for Australia. In grade 10, when I was doing design and doing woodwork and metalwork, I loved doing that and was trying to work out what career I can do using those skills. Direct Edge actually come to my school and was looking for school-based apprentices, and my design teacher actually said, well, she'd be really good for the job, she loves it, and was able to start working here when I started Year 11 at Hellier College. We then worked with TasTAFE and started my degree, so I was able to get the paperwork and booklets and be able to merge them into what I do at work, so I can tick off my units using the skills I learn here at work. One teacher that's based in Burnie, he was really good for me. He would come here and work with me, and I was able to sometimes go to TAFE and visit him when I needed his help, and he always supported me through phone calls and emails and that kind of thing. Doing this kind of job would be for someone that loves design and has a passion for what they build or create and seeing it come out in the world, and being able to do it as a school-based apprenticeship just ticks off another box. You can get it done faster, you get the hands-on experience of actually being here in the workplace before you go on to do any uni degrees or anything. I believe I do have a big advantage. I know that you've got to wait 4 years till you finish your degree before you can even step foot in a workshop, whereas I've got all the experience of working alongside engineers at the minute. The next possible steps for my future is deciding what else I want to achieve. So looking into different areas in industrial design, robotic design and that kind of thing to see where else I can branch out and continue to build on my career in uni or TAFE. Being a woman in STEM, it means a lot to me to be able to show other women that they can do whatever they want to put their mind to, and it doesn't matter what gender they are or what the industry is, that you can do what you love.
Rod, so how do school-based apprenticeships work?
Yeah, Australian school-based apprenticeship, or ASPA as its acronym. It's basically where a student can visit a workplace or needs to be employed, and they're sent out to workplace between 7.5 to 15 hours per week for training, on-the-job training, and then also combine their school-based learning, their TCE subjects around the apprenticeship itself. So where it's English, maths, things like that to align with the actual apprenticeship, and they'd also be coming to TasTAFE to conduct training as well.
How important is it, I guess, for kids to have that balance of school life, but then also actually working on the job?
It can be really crucial for some young people who cannot handle the school side of it full on, and some people want to advance themselves as well early in the piece and get into a workplace quite quickly. So it gives them opportunities without and not hindering people and restricting people. So yeah, it does actually work quite well.
Fantastic. As Rod and Anthony have both mentioned, doing some prior training is a great way to show a potential employer that you're serious about wanting an apprenticeship. TasTAFE Certificate 2 courses are a great way to get some of the skills you'll need to gain an apprenticeship. The link on the screen will direct you to TasTAFE's November Info Week page, where you can register for an online or face-to-face information session to find out more about Certificate 2 courses and a range of other TasTAFE courses. If you're interested in an apprenticeship in agriculture, TasTAFE also has some great skill sets on offer through its Agri-Skills Entry program. Consisting of short, sharp skill sets, the program enables new and existing workers to get job-ready skills required by industry. It's a great way to start getting the skills you need in the industry if you're hoping to gain an apprenticeship. You can find out more on the TasTAFE website on your screen now. I'll now ask Rod to help answer some of the questions that have come in from those of you watching tonight. Remember, if we didn't get to your question, the TasTAFE team will be posting frequently asked questions and responses on their apprenticeship webpage in the days following the event. What other questions have we been asked?
Yeah, forgive me for looking down at times, but what did you look for when employing apprentices? For myself, it was about people who are being punctual and honest, and pretty much genuine and interested in the actual trade itself. So, and have good communication skills at the end of the day. So that's pretty much what it was about. Also, yep. Another one: is employment guaranteed if an apprenticeship is completed to standard? It's not guaranteed. However, the commitment from an employer to employ someone for 4 years for training is quite significant, and from a young person or an adult apprentice to take on 4 years is also quite a big commitment. Generally, the uptake to full-time employment after you've completed your apprenticeship is actually quite high, and that's pretty much the reasons behind that. And again, it's attitude-based. So if you've got a great apprentice, you're not going to put that much work into them and let them go. You want to keep them on.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic.
Another one we have is, are there any barriers to women getting on apprenticeships or getting an apprenticeship in a traditional trade? Absolutely not. Nowadays there are absolutely no barriers whatsoever, and they hold their own. Women in the workplace nowadays, especially in the trades, they bring a different level into the trades in some ways, so it can be quite articulate at times. I was actually training a female student today, and she definitely holds her own in the glazing side of it against the boys. So yeah, there's no issue there at all.
Fantastic.
A question we've been asked as well was just in regards to what can people do when can we enrol for TasTAFE next year? So there's Info Week coming up between the 2nd to the 6th of November. So if people want to jump online onto our webpage, stuff like that, or our website, they can actually get information for that.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thanks, Rod. Some really great questions and useful information there. Hopefully now those of you watching are more inspired than ever to go out and get an apprenticeship. So what's the next step? As we mentioned earlier, TasTAFE's November Info Week is coming up soon. It runs from the 2nd to the 6th of November. You can register for an online or face-to-face information session about courses on offer in 2021. It will include more information about Certificate 2 courses, which are a great foundation for people looking to gain an apprentice, including the Certificate 2 courses we mentioned earlier. TasTAFE also has a dedicated web page for tonight's event. Here you'll find more information about apprenticeships and how they work. You can take a virtual tour of some of the TasTAFE workshops where apprentice training takes place. And saving the best for last, on this page you'll also be able to view the online apprenticeship jobs board where some of TasTAFE's industry partners have posted apprenticeships they currently have available. So if you're looking for an apprenticeship, head over there now and you can be the first to see the opportunities on offer. Also, if you're an employer and you'd like to add an upcoming apprenticeship opportunity to the online apprenticeship jobs board, send us a direct message on Facebook and TasTAFE can add your opportunity to the jobs board in the coming days. Head to the link on the screen now to check out all of the above information. And don't forget, a recording of this session will be available shortly after the event if you'd like to go back and watch tonight's proceedings. For more general information about TasTAFE courses or to register for a November Info Week session, visit our website on screen now or phone 1300 655 307 during business hours. Thank you to Chandler, Stephanie, Anthony and Rod for joining me tonight to talk all things apprenticeships. And thanks to all of you who tuned in to tonight's event. We hope you found it useful. I'm Olivia Hicks. Good night.